Welcome to the Simple Switch podcast, where you'll join me, Rachel, the founder of Simple Switch, to talk about conscious consumerism and positive impact purchasing. Spending our money in a way that helps our planet and the people on it can be complicated and frustrating, and we're passionate about bringing ease to your journey. Join us as we demystify big ideas about conscious consumerism and hear from amazing business owners using their work for positive change. Thanks for being here, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, today on the podcast we have Kathy Brooks. She is the founder, CEO, and director of Second Story Goods. They are one of our earliest partners, as well as one of our most popular. I'm sure you've seen their goods if you've been on our site. Thanks for being here with us, Kathy.
Thank you, Rachel.
So we'll start with the basics. Who are you? Where is the company located? And also, where does it have its impact? And what is it that you guys are making and selling?
Okay, great. So my name is Kathy Brooks. In Haiti, I go by MK, which is a shortened version of Mommy Kati, which I thought sounded slightly more professional than being called Mommy at all times. So, it's my new name, my grown-up name. And we're located in the city of Gonaïves, which is about an hour north of Port-au-Prince in Haiti, down in the Caribbean. We make all kinds of beautiful things. Rachel, we are big into leather journals and bags now. We've got some really pretty totes, and we just are about to release a new backpack and a new messenger bag.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it. And then we also have a line of jewelry using locally sourced clay and glass and recycled pieces. And we also have a sewing group. So we do clothing and also bags made out of, we love to take products or materials found in country and repurpose them. And the main reason behind that is because people in country have already invested in those materials. Us purchasing from them actually helps their businesses grow and helps them support their families. So we buy clothing that is being sold secondhand in the market, bring it back, wash it and cut it up, and then turn it into either fabric or turn it into new pieces of clothing, which is one of my favorite things to do. And that takes a lot of labor. There's a lot of labor involved in that, which is wonderful because it puts more people to work.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, I didn't even know that. I mean, I had heard the idea behind the Second Story, which I'll let you talk more about. But in case it wasn't clear by what Kathy just said, they have one of the biggest varieties of any of our partners. So if you guys are on Simple Switch and you're doing shop by vendor, Second Story is a great place to start. Because I mean, I was just telling her before we started recording, I'm currently wearing Second Story Goods earrings. I use their journal every day for, my thought dumps. My best friend has one of the metal wall arts that you guys make up on her wall from when she got married. So it's like their kind of monogrammed piece. And honestly, you guys have an incredible offering. So I'm super impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about how Second Story got started.
Okay. So I took my first visit to Haiti in 2003. Went down with some girlfriends because my husband and son had gone down with a church mission trip. And my son was 13 at the time. And he came back and he was changed. And first thing he did was he came home, he went upstairs, he took his bed apart and moved it to the storage unit and slept on the floor for 2 years in some sort of a way to connect with the kids that he had met in Haiti that were also sleeping on the floor. And so that had a big impact on me as his mom. So a few months later, I took my first trip with some girlfriends and was just deeply impacted. It's just an incredibly beautiful country. It's the Caribbean, and the rivers, the mountains, the oceans are just gorgeous, but mostly it's the people. And I was so impacted by the beauty and joy and just the strength of the people there. On my first day of my first trip, I was with a friend who we were staying with, who is a missionary there and runs a school. And we had gotten in the car to go somewhere, and we pulled over on the side of the road and to pray, actually. And while we were doing that, a woman walked up carrying a baby. And when we finished praying, my friend Sherry looked up and began to speak with this lady. And they talked for a little while in Creole. Of course, at that point, I had no idea what they were talking about, because I couldn't decode this language.
Yeah.
And so after some time, the woman walked away with her baby. And I asked Sherry, I said, what was that all about? And she said she was asking us if we would be willing to take her baby. And I was sitting in the back seat, and, I didn't have any place on my grid to put this, and I was like, what in the world? And she said she had 3 more children at home and wasn't able to keep them all fed. And, as I sat there dumbfounded, Sherry turned around and looked at me square in the face, and she said, please understand, she no more wants to give her child away than you do.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I thought about our youngest, was 4 at the time, Rebecca. And I thought, what would I have to be feeling inside as a mom that I could hand her away to a stranger?
Yeah.
Not knowing if I'd ever see her again. And I call that my moment of perfect moral clarity, because it never ceases to stir my heart, and the courage that this woman had, and how desperately she wanted to care for her child, and the desperation she felt that was the only way possible she could. And so I really knew at that moment in time, exactly the way you're never supposed to make decisions, but that was when I made the decision that I would spend the rest of my life doing something where less women on the planet feel that sense of desperation.
Absolutely.
Even knowing it would not having a clue how to do it at that time, not even knowing what I didn't know, but I knew that that's what I was going to spend my energy on. And so that's really, I have to say, when people say, how did it start? I'm thinking it really started in that moment. Yeah.
What a powerful story. That's incredible. And I mean, that is what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, in that regard, so you guys have that kind of heart behind it. Tell me, do you have a favorite story kind of from the impact side, from what you guys are able to do that kind of brings about that mission?
I do. I have a whole collection of stories.
I'm sure, yeah.
Working on a book right now, and I hope to get it finished this year.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's so much fun and so much work, but I really feel like I've got to get all the stories and the things we've learned into a collection, so that at least maybe a couple of people can not have to make some of the same mistakes we've made along the way.
I can't wait to read it. How exciting.
It's a lot about mistakes that we've made, and some of them are pretty funny in hindsight. But we, when we got to the area of Gonaive where we work, and it was really on the outskirts of the city, and to the point where most people in the city of Gonaive will never go to this part of the city. It's pretty much the end of the road. But that's the part that, of course, we were the most attracted to. And so the needs are so tremendous. And I would like to say, too, that all of Haiti is not like that. There are some very wealthy people in Haiti, and there's even some upper middle class families. It is in disproportion in the number of families that are living, below sustainable incomes. But this part is basically the very lowest income bracket in the city. And so the needs are great. And I felt like all day long I would walk around with whatever money I had, and it would just be one person after another coming and asking for things, and real practical, true needs. And so I spent all my days like, well, what do you need? Okay, what do you need? They'd say something. I have this. I said, what do you need? And I was actually reading in a scripture one day where a widow came to a prophet saying, help me. My rent is due. I can't pay it. The landlord's threatening to take my children away, which is basically what happens, in developing worlds. Children get separated from their parents. And the prophet turned to her and he said, what do you have? And I was like, wait, what? What did you just ask that woman? And I know I'd read that a million times, but it just popped out at me this day. And he didn't ask her what she needed. He asked her what she had.
Yeah.
And it was, even though we were already working along the lines of teaching people to make jewelry and different things, and so that they could become self-sustaining, but this really cemented it to me that this was a shift in posture, that we begin to look at people searching for what it is they have inside of them, what their capacity is, because that's the only way to break the grip of poverty.
Yeah.
Charity has never changed the economics of a country, and it doesn't have the capacity to do that. But when people can find in themselves what they have, what their capacity is, and that their capacity becomes their greatest asset versus their poverty, that's the only way to change things.
Absolutely.
So,
I love that so much. I just love that shift because we definitely focus with Simple Switch on that empowerment side and the sustainability of those things. And that's, why we sell products as opposed to ask for donations. But I love that simple switch. Well,
yeah,
do that, but the simple switch to, what do you have? Even asking people in our own lives that a lot of times I'm asking people what they need and instead focusing on that is incredible.
Well, that's what drew us to Simple Switch, because you're very clear about that in your messaging, that you are out to change the economies of the world.
Yeah.
And,
it's just a small goal.
Just a small goal. And, we are too. And really, that's the only way you can do it is through business and through enterprise.
Yeah.
And it's really not everybody gets that. And so clearly, seeing your story and hearing your story, it made us like, yes, we want to work with these people.
Oh, good. Man, yeah. Our hearts were similar, like right from the beginning, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So just a quick story. So one of our artisans came to me one day and took me by the hand and walked me over to her house, which she was very kind of ashamed of, but she wanted me to see the situation where it was very, very rickety, made with tin that had holes in it. It was just a tiny little one-room place. And she pulled up a little thin mattress on the floor and showed me where the critters had chewed through the floor and how they were getting to her kids at night.
Wow.
And it just it crushed me again. And we just really prayed into creating some designs that she herself could claim as her own, and began to really market this specific necklace. It's now, back then it was made by her. Now it's made by a whole team of people, to clarify. But
cool.
through the work of her hands and her choices, she was able to build her own block house. And that was probably 4 years ago now. And she has since rented that one out and built another one. So,
oh, wow.
Oh yeah, she has become, she's a very strong young woman, but I think it's just realizing that people don't need to be carried. They just need a road. They'll carry themselves and their kids and their grandparents,
Totally.
But yeah, so
many good sound bites out of this already. The switching of that question, just need a road. That is such an awesome way to think about it.
Yeah, so true.
I love that. Very cool. Okay, so we know that this impact goes both ways when we sell things like this. So do you have a favorite story from the customer side, someone who's bought one of your products?
Oh gosh. I don't hear those as often as I hear the, obviously.
Yeah, especially since you're living in Haiti. That's kind of, hit or miss with our partners, whether they're able to do that. So
I have heard of people that have bought the angels. We make angels from recycled
ceramics.
Glass and ceramics. Yeah. And so
we have a bunch of those.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's actually that was one of our very first products. It's still one of our best selling products.
That's awesome.
And because of the margins on it, that actually has the highest impact on our artisans.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
We bought a bunch of those as Christmas presents, me and then also my family. So we really like those. They're so pretty.
Thank you. Yeah, they really are. They're precious, and each one is different. But I've heard stories of people having them in their cars and avoiding accidents. And they just felt like God was with them.
Oh,
And with this angel, I wish my memory is better. I know that I've
no,
had
that's perfect.
stories
I love that.
given to me, but I think one of the really cool things about that product too is, we have the slow times when we don't have work for the artisans. And I mean, someone could call or place an order for 100 angels that would make the difference. That morning they place that order, that afternoon, the artisans are working,
Yeah.
and so it's just an immediate impact.
That's so cool.
Mm,
I love that.
yeah.
So we touched on this a little already, so we might be able to kind of keep this one short, but at Simple Switch, we use the phrase you've probably seen, positive impact purchasing. So we feel like that kind of embodies all of the partners we're able to work with. What does that mean to you guys? And how do you feel like your business fits into that term, positive impact purchasing?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I'm so deeply ingrained in this now, because there's the pyramid that shows the top few percent making most of the world's wealth. And I really feel like change the shape is one of my hashtags, though. Unless you explain it, it's hard to understand it. But I feel like our call is to change the shape of that pyramid.
I love that.
Yeah,
just another thing for me to keep in my head as a mantra.
Yeah,
I'm loving all of these.
I think it's very critical for the days to come. I'm a person who believes the world is going to heaven in a handbasket, not the other way around, and that things are really on the move for positive change, and that we as humanity, we are caring more about our brothers and sisters around the world than we ever have before. Yeah. And I think that it has been proven that it's through enterprise and business opportunities that the shape of that pyramid does change. Yeah. And so I say again, I love that you're getting that message out with your business, and you're helping people to understand that every dollar you spend is a vote that says, this is how I want the world to be. Absolutely. And it's, I'm getting all emotional just thinking about it again, because I live in that air. I see it so directly. Yeah. From not having an order to having an order means I can get my kids' uniforms made and they get to go to school the first week, or I can't. Yeah. And so it's education, it's safety, it's health, it's all of the things and it's family. Absolutely. It's all the things that we care about. In purchasing is the power to make those things happen in the world. So it's, yes, it's extremely powerful.
Oh man. Yes. I just love it. Yeah. I'm also getting emotional. I believe in this so much. I mean, we just brought on a cohort of 6 new interns for the summer. And I just remember sitting in one of our interviews. I had some awesome interviews, some less than awesome interviews. But sitting with one of our current interns, Austin, and he sat down in the interview and just immediately said, I love what you're doing because I think business and commerce has the power to really solve a lot of the world's biggest seemingly unsolvable problems. So we're obviously, he, connected with me immediately through that. So yeah, he's a huge value to the company, but I just loved hearing that from him. So
that's great. Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to talk about our brand value, ease without apathy. The goal for this is just to make it, people don't have to change their, entire daily routine or change the kind of things that they need in their life. There's a lot of routines that are healthy in our life. We shouldn't have to think about, every decision so heavily necessarily. So bringing that ease, but without bringing the apathy, where people can still engage and understand those stories and, feel the beautiful weight of what they're doing, as opposed to maybe the negative weight that could have been happening before. So how do you feel like Second Story, kind of brings an ease or is winsome or appealing for people to use their purchasing power for good? And how do you balance that with engaging people with those stories?
Yeah, that's another really good question. We are all about the stories. I'm naturally a writer, and I speak, my language is story, not so much spreadsheets. So it is, I write for my own sanity.
Definitely.
It's the way I get through some days, honestly. Sorry, getting emotional again. Hold it together, woman.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I tell the truth. I am a truth teller, and I am also, I write with the idea that the people that I write the stories about are reading it. So it's always about the honor and the best way of seeing the situation that I possibly can. And we never use poverty to sell anything.
Yeah, like guilt tactics or anything like that.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that.
There's nothing beautiful about that. We love to tell the stories of the way people are using their capacity to make these choices. We've created like you said, we've created the space. Now people are choosing to walk down it to save their own, to change their own lives. So the heroes are the people walking in, of course, obviously the partners buying. So we are really big on storytelling. We have an amazing couple of girls, women that lead up our social media and marketing department, and they are amazing writers themselves. One is our daughter who grew up in Haiti during her teenage years. So she's 20 now, but she carries all of that in her.
That's awesome.
And she's just brilliant. So she is really good at using social media, MailChimp, to talk to people just really honestly. And then tell the story behind the products as well. I agree with you. Like, we don't want to ask people to make huge leaps and buy things they don't need or they wouldn't ordinarily use, because, everybody needs to be responsible with their resources. But if this is a reasonable choice, and maybe it's $10 more than you would pay at Target, but you're buying so much more.
Yeah. And y'all's prices are actually really reasonable. I know sometimes pricing is something that scares people away from that. I just want to mention that so that listeners know. Like, when I took you guys on as a partner, I was really impressed with how reasonable your prices are. So thank you for that, because that really does bring that ease. We have a couple of partners that have really done that on purpose. So it's cool to see that.
Thank you. We try.
Yeah, great. Okay, so you mentioned that you kind of have a bunch of stories of where things went wrong or where you guys had to change something. Our other brand value is iterate often. So what is, a short example of a time where you had to shift or pivot, and how did it affect your business? I think that those things are sometimes even more valuable than the successes. So I love to hear those stories.
I agree with you. Oh, there's so many of those, but I will keep it to a short one. But okay. I know one time we have 3 groups of basket makers, and one day one of the lady who's the head of one of the groups came in, and she told us that the price of the materials, the latanye for making the baskets, had gone up, and it had something to do with the Hurricane Matthew, I think, that hit the Lower Peninsula. And so they were really in a tight spot, and they were, their margins were getting squeezed out by the number of baskets we were ordering. Yeah. And she came to us, very humbly. We have a great relationship, with, I think, all of our makers. We really respect the people that, we respect people that can do these hard things.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how to make a basket.
I don't either. And I don't even want to try. Yeah. But so they came and they asked us, it was a pretty significant price change that they wanted to do. And I said, you know what? I'm going to think about it. I'm going to look at the numbers, and I'm going to get back to you, because this is the sad truth, Rachel. If I'd said, no, we can't, they would have kept making them. Yeah. For that price, because that's what you can do to the poor. You can exploit the poor. Yeah. And it's one of the things that makes me the saddest of everything in the world, of how people have been taken advantage of. I mean, well, I'll finish this story before I jump into another one. So I looked at the prices, and I realized this was going to cause our wholesale and retail prices to go up significantly as well, in order to cover the margins that we needed to continue to run. And so I wrote about it. I wrote an essay and I said, friends, great news. Our baskets are going up. You know, this is our new marketing scheme. We're raising our prices. We're telling you about it, but we want you to know, we want you to understand why. Yeah. Because the one thing you can count on us to do is to walk with justice with the artisans, because if we don't do that, there's no reason for us to exist in the world.
Totally. Oh, that's so good.
And so we just brought it right out to, and every single person, every single customer that responded said, that's what we count on you for. We count on you to be treating the people in the company, the people that make products for you, justly. And we will adjust.
You know, I mean, people who would come to Simple Switch would say the same thing. Like, they are counting on me to work with partners like you who are going to take that feedback. And I'm just imagining, you know, in what we hear about other industries, there are so many workers in the world who are being exploited, who would never feel the freedom to even come to you with that need. So I'm so thankful that that's, you know, how you guys run.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Rachel, there'll be times when I'll just say, someone will quote me a price and I'll be like, you know what, brother, I can't pay you that because that's not fair. We have to raise that up. And they just look at me like, excuse me, what? I'll be like, I just can't. Like, I know that the market will bear a higher price because your work is remarkable. And so we're going to have to adjust this up, because first things first, if I'm not doing this piece right, then nothing else matters.
Absolutely. Know? That's so good.
And at the same time, I struggle for margin all the time because we're always struggling to make payroll. So anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I get that. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm just thrilled about that. I'm just smiling throughout these interviews because I just get to work with the best people.
Right? It's so good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. A lot of times we ask, you know, why did you choose to sell with Simple Switch? You already mentioned, I mean, our passions and our goals and our mission are obviously so aligned. Is there any other thing that you wanted to mention about that?
I love the concept that also you make it so easy for customers, because that is the part that we all have to do things quickly or we won't do them. And the fact that you make it easy to come to one site and find so many different products, and I'm sure it's growing all the time. That I think that's the piece that the world was waiting for. And so I really am grateful that you bringing that together. And I mean, I love that we get to be a part of it. I hope we have a very long,
I'm sure we will,
thriving relationship
ending anytime soon. Yeah, that's so encouraging to me. I remember early on in my kind of ideation process, one of the things that really triggered what I wanted Simple Switch to be about was that, you know, I was seeing Amazon coming out with this new thing. I don't think it really took off, so I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but where you could get a button, like a physical button, and put it somewhere in your home. So like, for instance, near your laundry detergent. And then when you were running low on laundry detergent, press it. And then that would immediately put in an order for more of those things. And I was like, man, that is so convenient. I am personally a very typical, you know, overcommitter and often busy. And so I'm thinking like those kind of things, although you know, a little bit ridiculous, are going to help people really want to make those orders more often and make it so much more easy for them. And I was like, man, in the space that I'm in with impact purchasing, it just doesn't feel like people have that, really anything like that. Because I would spend, you know, 3 hours trying to find which place I'm going to get a new pair of pants from, just like one. And so, anyway, so that's really encouraging to me that you guys also like that. Okay, so you have a huge product variety, so this one will be hard. But for you personally, what is your favorite product that you sell, and why do you love it?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I have to say. Okay, I have to say two. Okay, great. Okay, so I love the extra large raw tote, leather tote.
It is so pretty.
It is so. And listen, we're about to launch it in like a ashy dark gray.
Ooh, cool.
That I may have to get a second one because the color is just so gorgeous. You can just still barely see like the blemishes and the leather coming through it. But I know it's just going to get so yummy as it ages too.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So I love that that tote. I travel with it all the time, and I have to keep business cards like in my pocket, like as I'm going down the airplane aisle, because people ask me, I just like hand out cards, like, where'd you here. So that's a biggie. And then the other thing which is kind of odd, and we don't even sell very many of them, but I really love our confetti rugs.
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of compliments on those.
Yeah, and we just came out with the pillows. I have them on my bed. I work at a stand-up desk, or I should say I work at stand-up desks, because I seem to like put them anywhere I might wander to, someplace where I can stand up and work. And the best and most favorite thing is to be standing on a confetti rug, because it just feels like there's a party going on down there.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that kind of playful energy when I'm grueling away at the keyboard.
Absolutely. How fun.
It is. You should just try it and see if you get that sort of like,
yeah, I'll have to.
It's kind of like
gotta redo my home office.
Yeah. It's really, I don't know. I love, and I also know like the women that make them, and it's also made from this, second recycled fabrics that are in country. And it's just got so much goodness all the way down the line.
Awesome.
Recycled coffee bags, all that. So anyway, I could talk about a ton of products, but I'm going to stop.
No, there. I mean, you guys have so many. I could also talk. I mean, like I said, in my house, in my dear friends' houses, and then also, people that we just get through Google and social media, people really connect with your products. I mean, just even on a non-story basis. So you guys are doing a great job. Yeah, I just got kind of butterflies in my stomach because you were saying, I know the women who make them. I mentioned this to you before, but our hope is that I will actually go down this time with my dad. I've been doing these vendor visits. The last one was to Guatemala, and getting to see the artisans who are making the products that we're doing, and getting to, kind of do this, like a little bit of storytelling on a deeper level. But I can't wait to do that with you guys in person and meet some of these people. And that just puts so much more on a selfish note. That just gives me so much encouragement to like know them and to, create those friendships where next time I'm wearing my earrings, I will think of the maker that I met who makes them. I seriously wear them almost every day. It's probably getting a little out of hand, but
no, that's wonderful. And we would love to have you. And it's super encouraging to the makers too. I mean, whenever we have partners come down, we always make a big deal and we introduce you to the makers, because that you will be smothered in love and appreciation, because they understand that without people like you guys and your customers, we got nothing. And so
vice versa too, man. I'm so excited to meet them, but
it'll be fun.
Oh, that's so special. Yeah, that's what my dad, so he wears his belt from you guys. My dad and my grandpa wear their belts from you guys like every day. That's actually in our commercial that we released, is my grandpa holding up one of the belts you guys made.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can meet Vincent and go see his leather shop. Okay.
So my dad, I wish that I could bring my grandpa. He's 92, so he probably won't come with us. But my dad, that's what he wanted for his birthday, was to meet you guys. He asked me, if I would bring him along. So if that just shows kind of the power of how much people love you.
Wow.
Yeah. So you said that you're coming out with a book, which I'm thrilled about. Other than hopefully reading that someday, how can our listeners support you? Is there any particular, action items that you would love for them to be doing?
Wow, that's great. They can spread the word. Tell their friends, buy from you. And if you don't have it, buy from us. And I think the more sales that we do, the better we stay in business. We're working on a fundraise right now, trying to raise. We have a matching grant right now, so we're trying to raise $25,000 to help us with machines and things that we don't have the margins to buy for ourselves yet. As a company, but we're a registered nonprofit under Metch Ministries, so we can give tax receipts. But if you can go on our website and see that we're up to $10,000. So we just
that's amazing. Yeah, we definitely have listeners and consumers like that. I had a friend recently. He buys a lot of our coffee. And the other day he asked. So we take donations if people want to give them. And he told me, listen, how can I make a donation? Because I can't buy enough coffee to make the financial support of you. If all he ever did for the rest of his life was buy coffee from me, I'd be so thankful. But it was very cool of him. So if you guys are feeling led, listeners, to support Second Story in even bigger ways, you guys are encouraged to, go check out their matching grant. And I'll put that link to that maybe in the show notes.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, cool. Anything else that you want listeners to know?
I'd really like them to understand how powerful they are. And if they're listening to this podcast, then there's a chance that they are a customer of yours.
Yeah.
And I really wish I could, and I've said this so many times, I wish they could feel the weight of what they're doing with each purchase. That it's not great marketing. It's not a scheme. It is actually changing the shape of that pyramid that is making such a real difference in the lives of real people every day. Like, it's a big deal. I guess what I want to say,
totally.
Hey, what you're doing, every purchase is a big freaking deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
for good. And so I think if I could get that message across to people, that's what I'd like to do.
That's so good. Well, I think that you did a great job of getting that across today. And that's why I love doing these interviews, because I think just even the tone of your voice, people can hear, the weight of that. So that's awesome and incredible. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. I cannot wait to get to come and meet you and the artisans in person. Thank you so much for being with us today, Kathy.
All right, Rachel, thanks for the opportunity, and onward and upward.
Thanks so much for joining me today. If you like this episode, you can support us by leaving a great review, sharing with your friends, and subscribing. Thanks for caring about our planet and the people on it. We'll see you again soon.